agenda as presented. Expenditure for $36,260.12.
Second.
Archibald?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
McLaughlin?
Aye.
Sheep?
Aye. We have no presentations. At this time, is there a citizen that would like to speak before council? Yes, please. If you would go to either one of those podiums and state your name and your address, please.
John Kennedy, 620 Empire. I think I'm the special ed permit. It says 400 West Mildred. That's an incorrect address.
What? Say, I don't understand.
400 West Mildred Avenue, Cortez.
Is that on the agenda tonight?
Yes.
It's under the consent agenda, the 20th Annual Harvest Beer Festival. It says 400 West Mildred Avenue.
Yep, so that's in Parque de Vida, so that's just the address that we have for Parque de Vida.
I think it's always Mildred north and south or east and west.
It's north and south.
I think all he's saying is it's an incorrect address.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Is there anybody else?
West Mildred. That is incorrect, okay.
All right. We have, under public hearings,
Sam's here all night.
are you settled in for the long haul? Jeez. Okay, we have a number of ordinances to consider for final reading. Sam, if you would like to begin.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the second reading on the adoption of the 2015 International Building Codes that we've been working on the past year. And if you would like, I'll just skip over what we went over last council session, which was just kind of giving you some background on how we got from point A to point B, unless anybody's got questions. The presentation we've got tonight just kind of points out that we had a few errors, clerical errors on the some of the ordinances. One of those was for the electrical code adoption, just changed the title to the International Electric Code, or pardon me, the National Electric Code, Fire Safety Code. The other one was on our residential code adoption. We had a typo in there that said winter design temperature of 94 degrees. It should have read 7 degrees. That's a pretty big faux pas on our part. And then International Property Maintenance Code, we just missed some language that would allow anybody to be able to appeal a decision by one of our code officials. So it's just some house cleaning. Other than that, it's pretty much just the way we presented it to you a couple weeks ago. So we haven't had any further feedback, no phone calls from the public, and we've been trying to monitor and go. And the fact is, we've got some plans and specifications already in our office for under the 2015 that people are applying for right now. So.
All right. So are there any questions for ordinance 1240, series 2018?
I don't have any.
All right, may I have a motion, please?
No, Your Honor, need to open for public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I think you could, as long as the motions are made to approve each one, I'm not having a problem with opening a general public hearing for all of them.
I would like to do that.
But I think you need to make the motions for each ordinance as you're going through.
As we get ready to vote for it, we have to make the motion for each ordinance, but I can open the public hearing for everything.
Right.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that. No.
All right, okay. Well, we have a page and a half of ordinances, so I'm going to open this public hearing, and if you would all like to scan through here, take a second to scan through what each of these different ordinances represents, and if there's anything as you're looking through this, I'll give you a few minutes, if there's anything that you, as you look through this, that you would like to comment on or you have a question about, you'll need to go to the podium and share that.
No, it's the ordinances 1240 through 1250, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, correct. All right, does everybody feel comfortable if I close the public hearing? I don't want to rush you if you're... All right. I'm going to close the public hearing at this point, and now, is there any member of council that has a question or a comment on any one of these ordinances?
I do not.
Okay. Then at this point then, what I would like to do is start with ordinance 1240, series 2018. May I have a motion?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance number 1240, series 2018, adopting and repealing all ordinances in conflict with the 2015 International Fuel Gas Code.
Second.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Archibek.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance number 1241, series 2018. A motion, please.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance number 1241, series 2018, adopting and repealing all ordinances in conflict with the 2015 International Mechanic Code.
Second.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Archibek.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance number 1242, series 2018. If there are no questions, may I have a motion?
I make a motion approving a final reading ordinance 1242, series 2018, adopting and repealing the ordinance to conflict with 2015 International Plumbing Code.
Second.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibek.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance number 1243, series 2018. A motion, please.
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance 1243, series 2018, adopting and repealing all ordinances in conflict with the 2015 International Property Maintenance Code.
Second.
Archibek.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance 1244, series 2018. A motion, please.
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion approving on final reading ordinance number 1244, series 2018, adopting and repealing all ordinances in conflict with the 2009 International Energy Conservation Code.
Second.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Archibek.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance number 1245, series 2018. A motion, please.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance number 1245, series 2018, adopting and repealing all ordinances in conflict with the International Accessible Usable Buildings and Facilities Code.
Second.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Archibek.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance number 1246, series 2018. A motion, please.
I'm going to make a motion approving the final reading ordinance 1246, series 2018, adopting and repealing the ordinance to conflict with 2015 International Building Code.
Second.
Lucero.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Archibek.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance 1247, series 2018. A motion, please.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance number 1247, series 2018, adopting and repealing all ordinances in conflict with the 2015 International Fire Code. Second.
Archibek.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance 1248, series 2018. A motion, please.
I make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance number 1248, series 2018, adopting and repealing all ordinances in conflict with the 2015 International Existing Building Code.
Second.
Carlson. Aye. McLaughlin.
Aye.
Archibek.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. Ordinance 1249, series 2018. A motion, please.
Honorable Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve on final reading ordinance number 1249, series 2018, adopting and repealing all ordinances in conflict with the 2015 International Residential Code.
Second.
Keel.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Sheep.
Aye. And finally, last but not least, ordinance 1250, series 2018. A motion, please.
Make a motion approving the final reading on ordinance number 1250, series 2018, adopt repealing the ordinance to conflict with the National Electric Code.
Second.
McLaughlin. Aye. Keel.
Aye.
Carlson. Aye. Lucero.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. All
Thank you
right.
for holding your applause till the end.
Okay, and everybody here knows exactly what those codes pertain to, and we have no unfinished business, but we have new business. Ordinance 1239, Series 2018. Tracy?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. So this ordinance is to amend the land use code to allow schools as a conditional use in the open zoning district. And this came about because the county wants to convey the Justice Building, which is located in the open zoning district. And right now, there's very few uses that are actually allowed in that zoning district because, again, it's an open zone. It's sort of set up to be open space, but there are some non-open space type uses in that zone. Schools are not currently allowed as a permitted or conditional use, and this would add another possible use for the Justice Building, which is not an ideal location to be rezoned because it's not really adjacent to anything that it could be used for, such as an R2 zoning district or the PUD that's across the street. And currently, churches, municipal facilities, fitness clubs, rec centers are allowed in the open zoning districts, and all those have a similar function as a school, as you know, they're kind of institutional uses. And so this ordinance is just to change the code to add a C to the zoning matrix, and in the future they'll just be processed as a conditional use permit like schools are in all other zoning districts in the city. And so the Planning Commission recommended approval of ordinance 1239 on the March 6th meeting, which was last Tuesday, and staff recommends that council approve this ordinance.
Council, are there any questions regarding this?
I don't have any.
All right, in that case, may I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve on first reading ordinance number 1239, series 2018, an ordinance amending section 3.05A of the land use code to allow a school, public, private, and church through a conditional use permit in the open zone district and set for public hearing on March 27th, 2018.
Second.
Keel.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. Tracy, does Kiva have a timeline at all? I mean, were they just kind of waiting on this to put an offer in, or?
They are not waiting on this. This was entirely staff initiated, actually, and they have an application in process.
Right. Your Honor, I believe that they actually have, they're under contract with the county.
They are under contract,
They are.
so it's a definite.
Well, I can't say that, but I believe.
But I mean, it's definite in the sense that,
I believe that the county
It's more
has
definite that it
accepted
has
their
to be.
offer, they're
Okay.
under contract.
Okay,
And,
okay.
yeah, so they have, they've already applied for their conditional use permit, so they're trying to go pretty quick. They're
okay.
trying to get
Are
going.
they hoping to be in this new site by fall?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, wow, they're gonna have to work fast. Okay, great. All right. Russ, we are so happy to see you this evening.
Well, that's not entirely true, Russ.
Don't let him get to you. I'm happy to see you.
Well, it's so good to be here, Mayor.
Yeah, I know, you're thrilled.
Good evening to you and the honorable mentioned members of City Council. We were approached by email, in a blanket email or by the Prescott, Arizona City Council, to once again revisit this pilot rest rule and pilot training rule that the federal government instituted back in August of 2014 as a result of an accident in 2013. We last visited this topic in May of 2016, nearly 2 years ago, where we sent letters similar to the ones that are attached to our congressional delegation asking for relief. So we're once again doing this, hoping that maybe we'll get a little more ear time. This situation has become worse in the last 2 years, so the pilot industry is suffering losses due to retirement on one end of the pipeline, and on the entry level, the new pilots that are graduating pilot school are unable to attain the hours necessary of flight time, and it's very expensive, so they're either not going to pilot school and pursuing another career path, or they're hiring on with airlines such as the one we have, which is a small entry-level airline for a small community. And even when they get their hours with the smaller airlines, the larger airlines, who are also losing pilots, are cherry-picking these pilots from the small airlines as, you know, major league airlines pick from the minor league airlines. So essential air service communities such as ours are suffering probably the brunt of this pilot shortage. So we are being asked by Prescott, they're taking the lead on this, and to pursue another approach to, one, the FAA acting administrator and our 3 congressional delegates to revisit this and perhaps give some relief on the 1,500-hour training rule.
Same song, second verse, huh?
Right.
Does any council member have a question about this?
I don't have any. No.
Okay, then may I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion where am I at? To approve letters being sent to the FAA and our congressional delegation in support of easing the training requirements for EAS airline pilots.
Second.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. Do you think, Russ, that we've reached a more critical point at this stage that maybe we can get some of our congressional delegates to actually listen this time and do something?
I really think they did listen the last time, but I think it's such a highly sensitive issue because it involved a crash that, promulgated the rule issuance in the first place. So maybe with some time evaporation in the meantime, it might be easier for them to step over and maybe give us some relief.
I think being this close to the election cycle might not be in our favor.
That could work either way.
Yeah.
Right, well, I
We're
think we
always
still
close
have.
to an election cycle.
Well, Your Honor, though, remember that really the real concern here, I mean, right now we're being impacted, but as these pilots age out and the fact that we're not creating as many pilots up through the pipeline with the new rules, I think that when this thing really hits the industry that it affects the big players, I think we are going to have a crisis, and we're going to be able to tell Congress, well, geez, we told you so a decade ago that this was an issue. But
Well, and that's what I was wondering. Are we
Yeah.
closer to that point? I mean, are we close enough to that point where the big guys are going to start screaming, and they obviously have a little more clout than we do?
I'm reticent to read the minds of Congress. I'm sorry. I will say that I received the boarding data.
Is that an English word?
I'm sorry?
Medicine. I believe it was
I
medicine.
know, I'm just,
That's how they pronounce it back in the Northeast.
I did receive the boarding data for February, and we were down 100 passengers year over year. We had 27 canceled flights, some of that weather, some of it pilot availability. So it is impacting.
okay.
We were going great guns with Boutique last year. We had 7,700 plus boardings, but right now we're down 12% in just 2 months, but it's not a good trend.
So our issues with Boutique at this point are primarily weather, which we have no control over,
Right.
and lack of pilots, which we also have no control
In the
over.
report, about half the flights were weather reflected, or affected. We didn't have so much weather here, obviously, we're in a drought, But we had high winds here, and then Denver had weather, so if they're affected, they either can't fly from there or we can't fly to there. So that was the nature of the weather cancellations.
Okay. All right, well, I'll be signing that tonight. Are you
Okay.
sticking around so that you can take it with you?
Sign these letters in a very forceful manner, Mayor.
I will, I will.
Uses their angry pen.
I will put lots of energy into it. Okay.
Thanks, Russ.
Yes, are you staying, Russ?
Yeah, Russ, are you going to stick around? We may have questions for you after the meeting.
I would like to
like to
personally
turn
hand
in
the
my
the
notice.
signed letter to you.
We'll accept that after the meeting.
You already did. It's 4 years, 6 months. We're on
I'm going
notice.
to amend that.
Goodbye, Russ.
Night, Russ, thank you.
All right, reappointments to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals. Tracy?
Okay, so as you all may know, we need to reappoint the Board of Adjustments, and there are vacancies advertised on the website. To date, we haven't received any applications, so the 3 existing members have all submitted letters of interest to be reappointed. And that would be Chris Easton, Tim Klein, and Glenn Layton. And staff recommends reappointing the current membership.
Okay, council, any questions about that? All right, may I have a motion, please?
I make a motion, Mayor, to reappoint Tim Klein, Chris Easton, and what was the
Glenn Layton.
Yeah, Glenn Layton to the Board of Adjustments and Appeals.
Second.
Archibald?
Aye.
Carlson?
Aye.
Keel?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
McLaughlin?
Aye.
Sheep?
Aye. Professional services contract for Trails 2000. Dean?
Yes, good evening, City Council. The city's acquisition of open space areas on the north side of Cortez have increased our property size from 76 acres to 186 acres, including Carpenter, Gear Natural Areas, and the pending purchase of Keith Evans Conservation Easement tonight. As a result, the city has approximately 10 miles of mountain biking and hiking trails within those open space areas to maintain and manage. With the additional trails and increased usage of mountain biking has been evidenced in recent years that will require more trail maintenance than in past years. The city, myself, and along with the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board have identified the need for a comprehensive trail assessment to assist in establishing a prioritized trail repair program and improving upon more intentional routing of hiking and mountain biking within the open space trail system. Myself, I have contacted Trails 2000 for their assistance in developing a comprehensive trail assessment. Trails 2000 is a local nonprofit organization based out of Durango who specializes in providing comprehensive trail assessments and has assisted the city of Durango for over 25 years in the development of their trail system. Following the comprehensive trail assessment by Trails 2000, a trail access management plan will be initiated by the city's Parks and Recreation Department, working with the Southwest Conservation Corps, Montezuma Land Conservancy, and Trails 2000, and local community volunteers to repair the highest priority trails within the open space areas as time and resources allow. The projected amount to be paid out for this contractual service is $3,000 and has been budgeted accordingly. And again, I just wanted to mention that the Southwest Conservation Corps, that would be through the Montezuma Inspire Coalition, and I believe we're going to be working out a contractual arrangement that'll be where we would just pay 15%, and then the grant and their entity would provide 85% of that for funding for this year for any trail improvements. So we have some really great opportunities coming up that really are, with this trail assessment, would really assist us in that effort. So I think, Bob Archibald with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, we've went out and toured the site and really identified, along with Al Snyder, who's done like native plant interpretive, a brochure to see the impact that additional use is created on those trails. So I think this is a really good next step for us, and we're not 5 years later asking to do this and behind the 8 ball on taking care of our trail system. There's just a lot more use that's happening now, and that's great. That's what it's there for. So I guess any questions of council?
Is there someone from Trails 2000 on site, since we'll be using the Conservation Corps? And I noticed that it talks about, you know, improvements, enhancements, drainage, potential connectors for trails. So when we actually start the work, is that in the contract that when we let's say we have an enhancement to a trail, because of their Trails 2000's expertise, are they on hand to make sure that it's done correctly, or is that on us?
I think that's on us. I think they're just pretty much generating a document that says, you know, this is what we recommend you doing. I think in talking to their director, she's committed to say, hey, we will help. And in fact, I think they'll even help do some trail work, but that's not in this contract. You know, last year, for example, they helped with a project with Kiva and took the Kiva students out there and did a trail, one of the trail improvements at Carpenter Natural Area. So I believe upon being, you know, I can contact them, and I'm sure I could get, you know, clarification if we were not sure about a particular recommendation. I think they're there to be a part of that.
So again, so this is more the broader kind of 30,000 foot document of this is where you need to do the work. It doesn't at all require them to do that. I think our next step would be, like, you know, we partner with the Montezuma Land Conservancy. Every spring we do a day out at the Gear Natural Area. We do trail building, we do trail maintenance work. I think, you know, with those kinds of events and efforts, if we have these documents, we can really structure more of the kind of work we're going to do with those volunteer groups. And like Dean said, this group has come in the past and helped out, but in no way by approving this contract would council be guaranteeing that they would do that. That'd be just more, I think, because they're a trail advocacy group and they're pretty easy to work with, but this contract is really only going to deliver us that broader document.
Yeah, and I want to mention too, the Southwest Conservation Corps, they will have, you know, professionals on site with the trail building, and I think they will be a great partner in this effort as well. So it's not like, I don't feel like we're left just with our own means to provide this. We're going to have assistance from various groups along the way.
You know, and I guess I wasn't thinking about it so much along that vein, other than, you know, we've had locals that have been extremely involved in some of the trail making, volunteers in the Gear area. Will they be part of this? Will, you know, and I'm thinking about the guys from Cocopelli's and other volunteers who have just put in sweat equity out there to make sure we have a trail system.
Yeah, my plan was to actually have, before this is finalized, to have that group in to vet the document. Okay. And look that over, because you are correct, Ty, that they've put in a lot of time and effort into this.
Okay, yeah, so as long as they're still kind of in the loop, that's great. I like the fact that those local guys are getting out there initially, right, and really were kind of at the forefront of making sure we had a decent trail system in place. So, okay, thanks, Steve.
All right, are there any other questions, comments? May I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I move to approve the professional service contract for Trails 2000 to develop a comprehensive trail assessment for $3,000.
Second.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Dean.
Are you leaving now, Dean, or are you going to be here? Okay. Okay. Mike, ordinance 1251, Board of Appeals.
When you pass this litany of by reference over the years of the uniform codes, the building codes, or the international codes, there were some differences amongst the codes that the city never really looked at before or seemed to, I don't know what the word is, we just never addressed. And this time when staff went through them, they did a rather excellent job of picking out places where those codes were in disagreement with our city code or land use code, and even amongst themselves. And one of the areas which was really confusing was each one of the code books had a appeals process in place which was inconsistent in each of the codes. In other words, one code would say, well, this is the plumbing code, so we need an appeal board of plumbers. The electric code would say we need an appeal board consisting of electricians or electrical engineers. And so in theory, we had about 6 or 7 different appeals boards that we had nobody appointed to, that really existed but weren't being used. And this is designed to get things more in line with using ultimately the Board of Adjustments, which will become a Board of Adjustments and Appeals that's in the Land Use Code. And when the building official makes a decision under one of these codes, if the contractor or the person doesn't believe that decision is correct, then they can appeal it. This doesn't mean that the appeals board will change the rules. It's not a variance. It says Sam did his job or Sam didn't do his job. It's more of a true appeal. Did Sam apply the law correctly or incorrectly? This is a 5-person board. We're going to have to scramble to find a few more people for the Board of Appeals, and this one also has 2 alternates. Staff is recommending that council approve this at first reading and set for a public hearing, as it makes a uniform system of appeals for the codes you just adopted.
All right. Council, questions, comments?
How the Board of Appeals, how extensive, how wide of a knowledge base do they have to have for all these different codes?
Well,
I'm thinking about all these codes, and
they don't really have to know anything about them. If you look at the legal system, and I have to chuckle here, judges and attorneys and appeals courts aren't necessarily experienced in all the matters that they review. But what happens is when you have an appeal, Sam would, the appellant, the person who didn't like the decision, would come in and say, hey, here's why Sam is wrong, and here's my electrician who says there's a different way of doing this than what Sam says, and it follows the code. Sam would get up and say, okay, here's why I did this, here's why I'm enforcing this. Same with the plumbing code or any of them, and I believe that the appellant is wrong and his electrician is wrong. And usually you explain things down to a pretty basic level and see the words say this and such. And so a person of average intelligence could make these decisions. It's going to be hard to find 5 electricians to sit on a board, say, when there but for the grace of God goes me, the next time I'm doing a house and Sam says I can't do something. And I think the people that we've got to serve on the Board of Adjustments and what will be Board of Adjustments and Appeals, I think those people we've generally had there seem to be qualified to make those kind of decisions, kind of along the lines of the land use code.
Well, we've never solely had a Board of Appeals.
Not really, no, sir.
Okay,
We've had appeals authorized in the land use code, but when you look at it, it almost looks like just a different version of the Board of Adjustments. And so this is different. They can't waive the requirements. They can't
It's just like a jury.
give a variance. It's more like, did
It's more
Sam...
like a judge.
Yeah, it is. It's very much like a
So,
judge.
in that sense, judges know an awful lot about the laws in which they're imposing a sentence over.
I'm on TV and I really don't want to say what I really want to say. That's
No,
what lawyers, but I mean, lawyers and other people educate the judges about the law. They may not know one iota about what's in front of them, and it gets presented to them by people like myself so that they understand it, and then they go do some research on their own. And it's putting a lot on Sam to prove up why he says something. So it's sort of like a checks and balance. Sam isn't just going to be able to flippantly say, I want red wires. Sam's going to have to say the code at section 6 says these wires have to be red.
These new codes are more litigious than the old codes?
I wouldn't say that, but we're trying to get ahead of the curve instead, and not have somebody come in and want to appeal a decision. I don't think litigious is the word, but I think people are becoming more involved in what they're doing. And, across the country, you're seeing people questioning things that they didn't before.
Well, and honestly, I think that if we're in here in 3 years reading 11 ordinances for the 2018 suite of codes, there's a chance that the Board of Appeals had not met once in that 3 years. Yep. I would say a pretty good chance that they wouldn't have met, but we should still have that process for them. I mean, we try to, if Sam and an electrician really disagree about a code, we try to get a third-party opinion anyway and try to settle it. So this is not something that I see utilizing that often, but still just as part of a due process and just having people to go if they really don't like the city's process and they don't like our answer. This just gives them a due process before a court, really. So
I think there's been, 3 appeals that I'm
well,
aware
but
of?
there, to the Board of Adjustments, we've never had anybody who've Well, Sam, could you just sit at the podium and?
I think the last one I remember was in the mid-90s.
Yeah,
It was over a bar downtown.
Yeah, and so again, the difference between the Board of Adjustment and the Board of Appeals is the Board of Adjustment is saying, we understand what the code is, and we think you've applied it correctly, but we think because of the shape of the lot, it's unfair to these guys. Maybe they should have a different setback. Maybe their lot line, should be a little bit differently. Maybe they could build it a little bit higher or whatever that is. So when it's Board of Adjustment, it's just saying, we know you've applied the code correctly, but we don't think that the code should be applied when it goes against this parcel of property for whatever reasons. It's not fair to them. So that's the adjustment. And then the Board of Appeals is more, yeah, we think you've got it wrong.
Sure, just jumping off on that. I've been here a little over 8 years, so we have several of our staff that make these decisions, not just myself. And we've never come to an impasse where we couldn't resolve whatever disagreement. Usually it's just a matter of sitting down either with an architect, an engineer, or a contractor and going through and sitting down with a code book if there is a question about it. I don't know that I've come to a point at any of these places where anybody said, we completely disagree with you. It's just a matter of interpretation. And we've got a direct line where we can, the different code organizations that we deal with, they provide services where we can actually get on a conference call with the contractor and with the people that actually wrote the code books and sit down with a live person on a conference call and talk it through with them. We haven't had to do that since I've been here. So we haven't run it. I've done it in other jurisdictions. That usually resolves any issues that we have. But as far as actually getting to a place where we're, having to have a conversation like that, we haven't hit it. The other jurisdictions I've been at, we've never been able to fill a Board of Appeals with professionals. We might get 1 or 2, but like City Attorney had said, the different code books that requires a full board of whatever specialty you have, it's highly unlikely to get it in a city this size. And like I said, we were in a fairly large jurisdiction, the last one I was at, and we couldn't get a full board then. So we just went with, just as City Attorney Green is making a recommendation, just a group of people. I've only had 1 Board of Appeals meeting in 15 years, 16 years, and it was pretty much cut and dried when we went in before. I mean, the fellow that we were having the impasse with was clearly out of the bounds of what they were supposed to do. So it's just something that doesn't come up too often.
Okay. Yeah, thank you guys for the clarification.
Okay. Then may I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 1251, Series 2018, creating a Board of Appeals for the City of Cortez, and set a public hearing on March 27, 2018.
Second.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. All right, contract for a grant for podcasts and counter cards. Are you going to do that, Shane?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Chris Burkett is stuck in Denver, so So the city is a designated certified local government, and with this designation, we're eligible to participate in the state preservation tax program, and we're also eligible to apply for CLG grants. In January of this year, council approved the application for a History Colorado grant to develop podcasts. The city just received notification that it had been awarded the grant, so we received $7,708. Since 2011, we've received 5 grants, totaling $89,000, and we've used those to inventory properties within the original town site. So we've inventoried 171 properties. 102 of those were determined eligible, and out of those 102, 33 of those have applied and received a city historic designation. So they're actually on our city register. The city's Historic Preservation Board, with the assistance of History Colorado, will convert the current walking tour brochures of Montezuma Avenue and Ash and First Streets to podcasts. These walking tour brochures were created in 2010, 11, and 13, with stories provided by June Head and the results of the first 3 CLG-funded inventories. They are currently available on paper at the Welcome Center and the Cultural Center. These podcasts will allow the information to be available to a much larger audience and will bring our historic preservation program into the 21st century. They were also meshed really well with a recently produced podcast that are produced by the Welcome Center. And then we can update them, or upload them rather, to the Mesa Verde Country website and the city website. So the grant also will provide funding for 750 counter cards to publicize this. We are required to enter into a contract with History Colorado. They're currently doing a rewrite of that contract, so we provided a sample. Of course, you know, we will have the city attorney review the new one, but we're just requesting tonight that you authorize the mayor to sign it after we receive the new contract in and it's been reviewed by legal counsel.
Are there any questions? May I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I would make the motion for you to sign the final grant contract with Colorado Historical Society when received and approved by the city attorney in the amount of $7,708 for the purpose of converting the current, no, is that right? Yeah, converting the current walking tour brochures on Montezuma Avenue and Ash and First Streets to podcast and producing counter cards to publicize the podcast.
Second.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Sheik.
Aye. 2018 street sweeper bid. Rick?
Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is the largest equipment fund purchase for this year. The 2018 equipment fund provides $250,000 for the purchase of a new mechanical street sweeper. This unit will replace Unit 1010, which is, you might have seen it around as a Johnson mechanical street sweeper. Specifications were drawn up on February 23rd. We received 2 responses to our bid proposal, and tenant sales and service was $234,429.80 with trade of the trade-in unit, $229,429.80. The second bidder, Hardline Equipment, they bid a DeLevo, bid amount of $242,936 with trade amount of $232,436. I would like to add that Marvin Kramer, our shop superintendent, and both street sweeper gentlemen went down to Farmington, New Mexico. They have one of the tenant units that they use at the Farmington Airport. And attached is a memo kind of highlighting that trip and why they recommend the DeLevo over the tenant. The main reason for council's benefit is the DeLevo has a lot larger hopper to hold the material, and road speeds are primary items. The hopper is important because, as you know, we dump most of the fines at the service center. So the hopper being half the size would require twice the number of trips back and forth to the service center. Therefore, also the road speed is important, getting it back there so they can get more work done. So Public Works is recommending the hardline equipment with the delabel. They also would like to add $7,864 in accessories that was not included in the bid. And that was done that way because not all of the providers have those items. Anyway, the final price proposed would be $240,300, including the trade-in and accessories. That's $9,700 below the budgeted amount.
All right. Council, questions? May I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to award the 2018 street sweeper to Hardline Equipment for the Doolittle sweeper, is that correct?
Doolittle.
And include the trade-in of unit number 1010 and accessories for a total price of $240,300.
Second.
Archibald.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. All right, the 2018 recycling truck bid, Rick.
Thank you. The 2018 Public Works recycling budget provides $160,000 for the purchase of a new recycling truck to be used in the neighborhoods. That will replace Unit 717, 1991 International truck with a recycling bed. And I would add, we got that truck used from Durango and they got ready to get rid of it. So it's been on baling wire for quite a while. Public Works plans on taking the bed off of the old unit and putting it on a trailer so they can use it for special events. So we would sell at auction the chassis minus the bed on an as-is basis. Public Works has applied for a RREO grant, Tier 1 grant for up to $80,000 that would go against this purchase. Notices of award are not expected until May of 2018. So specifications were drawn up and bids received on March 2nd. We received 2 responses to our bid. Both are out-of-town vendors. McCandless bid an international truck with a con recycle body, $141,275. I would add too that the units, we're probably looking at about 210 days delivery, so we will know about the RREO grant prior to taking delivery of the truck.
All right. Council, questions?
Rick sure spending a lot of money.
Actually, I was going to comment, it's good that you came in under budget on both projects. Good job.
Well, and also, yeah, the 141, even if we don't receive the grant, it's still under the budgeted amount.
Right.
All right. If there are no other questions or comments, may I have a motion, please?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to award the 2018 street sweeper to Hardline Equipment. Oh, sorry, wrong one. I apologize. Let me go on down here. I would like to make a motion to award the 2018 recycling truck to the low bidder McCandless at the bid amount of $141,275.
Second.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. Skyworks,
Thanks, Rick.
use of the city and county redundant wireless link.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In 2016, the city and county participated in a joint project to bring a wireless redundant link to the government network users. And about that time, 2015 or so, you might recall, the area suffered a large outage when fiber got cut north of town and then again up by Montrose. So in an attempt to bring us another path out of here for essential services and public safety, The city and county jointly purchased some wireless equipment and had Skyworks install it. The route goes from the city service center, which is the network hub, up to Cavanis Peak, and then on over. You might recognize the red and white tower just before you go into Durango. That's the AT&T tower. From there, it joins up with the Skyworks network, and they have dual path to Albuquerque and then on over to Colorado Springs. The government network users on the network are, of course, the City of Cortez, Montezuma County, Cortez School District, Southwest Health Systems, and Southwest TV District. Skyworks has approached the city and county using the excess capacity within that wireless link, and they plan on deploying a technology called LTE wireless around the county, and they have also executed a master services agreement with the city to locate that equipment at the city service center. City staff and county staff have negotiated a reduced fee for the GovNet users on the connection. Skyworks has agreed to lower the monthly recurring cost to the amount of $1,550 a month, which is about a $300 a month saving to the GovNet users. This would lower each individual entity's cost to $310, or basically a savings of $60 per month. I've also attached a copy of the contract addendum, and I would request that City Manager Shane Hale be available to execute that contract.
Okay, questions?
I don't have any.
May I have a motion?
Honorable Mayor, I make a motion to approve Skyworks' proposal at the new monthly recurring amount of $1,550, allowing the use of the excess capacity by Skyworks, and authorize City Manager Hale to sign the addendum.
Second.
Keel.
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibald.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Ordinance 1252, Series 2018, purchase of real estate from Mr. Keith Evans. Shane?
Thank you, Your Honor. City Council identified the priority of purchasing the Evans parcel during its 2017 strategic planning process. Excuse me. Critical success factor number 4 in the strategic plan is to create and maintain a livable community. And the stated goal, number 5, was to purchase the Evans parcel. So we've been in discussions with Mr. Evans. We did come to terms on the value of the property, and that was just based on the conservation easement and the appraisal that happened after that. So the property is, after the conservation easement went into place, the remaining value of the 50 acres was $50,000 or $1,000 per acre. That amount has been placed in the 2018 budget, and so staff recommends council move to adopt on first reading ordinance 1252.
All right, questions?
We get the mineral rights with that as well?
Yeah, we're going to strip mine it right after we get it.
No, just out of curiosity, how does that work? The mineral rights for that property owned by a third party?
We have to look at the title insurance commitment. Evans may not own them. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what I was wondering, if they're owned by a third party.
The easement that's in place on the property pretty much severely restricts those being how they're utilized or when they're utilized. So,
could that be a concern if a third party owned the mineral rights?
I'm not aware of a third party owning them right now, but I'd have to go back to the office and look at the title insurance commitment.
Okay.
I think it's a concern anytime you do real property in Colorado, because,
Yeah.
you know, those being separated.
Right, so, just something to check on.
Well, and when you look at Exhibit C, it severely restricts the manners of extraction, building roads for extraction. There's minimal, if any, surface disturbance allowed. I'm, like I say, I'm comfortable that we got protections as we can get for what we're getting. Okay.
So even if somebody has them and wanted to do something, there's so many restrictions that they couldn't do it anyway. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't hear.
So it's what you're saying, that even if somebody does have the mineral rights, the restrictions on the property are such that they can't get it out of the ground anyway?
That's what I'm seeing when I read through the deed and the conservation easement deed, and then when I look through the other items, there's a lot of restrictions as to what you can do on here.
Okay, so we're pretty safe then. All right, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve on first reading ordinance number 1252, Series 2018, an ordinance approving the purchase of real estate from Mr. Keith Evans and set for public hearing on March 27, 2018.
Second.
Lucero,
Aye.
Keel,
Aye.
Carlson.
Aye.
Archibald,
Aye.
McLaughlin.
Aye.
Sheep.
Aye. Alrighty, we have no draft resolutions or ordinances. We have no other items of business. Has anybody decided they would like to address council at this point?
Almost.
You do that every time.
Almost.
And I'm always so excited to think, oh, somebody's
getting
actually going to
closer.
get up and say something.
So close that time. We were all right there on the edge.
Okay, all right,
I
well,
like those long-term goals you set. That's awesome.
planning ahead. The city attorney has no report. I'm sure the city manager does.
Oh, yes, ma'am. So first, I just want to let council and everybody in the audience know ballots did go out yesterday on Monday, so
Say that one.
the ballots went out
Oh, okay.
for, excuse me, I'm sorry, this is like, if anybody's had a friend from college that stayed with them for way too long, this is how this chess code is. It's like week 3. It'll never leave. So yeah, ballots went out, so they should be arriving any day now. I have not been home today, but I'd expect them in the next couple days. So like the clerk always says, vote early, vote often. Secondly, and she does not say that.
Vote early, vote often.
Some clerk says, someplace, vote early, vote
Yeah.
often.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean this clerk. Secondly, this Thursday, the League of Women Voters will host a candidate forum at City Hall from 7 to 8:30. So please come and listen to everybody who's running for council. And then finally, just to let council know, the Urban Farming Committee, who's kind of the ad hoc group right now, met this last Thursday. I think based on feedback from the attendees, it looks like there's going to be a push to make this an official standing committee. I mean, that's going to be months down the road, probably 4 to 6 months, but I just think from conversations from the group in ways that they think that the community would benefit from having them, and they're make some real salient points, I think. So I think that this is probably going the same way that the Arts Committee went, which is they'll meet for a while once they really figure out what the group needs to be and what it needs to work on. We'll come to a workshop with council, talk to council then, and then barring any food fights at that meeting, we'll turn that into an ordinance to make it a formal standing committee, which comes with all rights and privileges, including invitations to the city's employee appreciation party, which I think is worth the cost of admission.
Which was the driving reason for making this a committee.
Yeah, I
let me
think that
tell you.
that's, most volunteer efforts we get are just to get invited to that.
All right. Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, as city council committee reports?
I missed the historic preservation. I'm going to a training in Denver.
Oh,
so
okay.
apologize for that.
Well, I know that Peyton Heisman, let me introduce Peyton. She's our new intern. She's been on board for about 2 weeks now. It just seems like 2 years because she's got lots of stuff to get to do. But anyway, one of her first jobs was to attend the Makeda meeting because our council representative, Tim Miller, was the council rep that did that. So Peyton attended the last meeting and she's going to share what she found out.
So must have took Shane serious by the speech, huh?
What's that?
Must took you serious by the speech.
Lean in a little bit more.
Can you hear me now? Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. So this afternoon, I had the opportunity of going to the Makeda Annual Investor Meeting, and really the highlight of the meeting was discussing the Economic Summit, which is coming up in April, as well as elections. So the April Economic Summit, that's going to be happening on the 24th, and they're going to be bringing keynote speaker Ted Howard from the Democracy Collective, and he will be discussing how communities build wealth from the bottom up versus top down. He'll also be discussing equality, democracy, and stability with economic development. And they'll also be discussing partners in creativity, locals first, and creating an anchor economy. And then the nominees are being finalized today, and they're going to be casting a vote for the election, the board elections on next week, and then we'll get the results at the end of the month. So that was pretty much it.
Great.
Thanks. Good job.
Any questions, council?
I have none. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much. All right, no other committee reports. Mayor's report of the workshop. We visited about a Mancus School District FFA request. Discussed a couple of changes in the 2018 budget, just items that we'd actually been discussing for a number of months, and somehow inadvertently they had been left out of the budget. So we've put them back in so that we can actually get them done and paid for in this year. We received a request from Habitat for Humanity for the city to provide whatever financial assistance they might be able to. They're getting ready to start to build their first from the ground up house. And so council made the decision that we would award them $700. $750. Or was it $850?
I like the 700.
Yeah, there's a riverboat somewhere with your name on it.
It really is. $750. That will just be a check that we'll write to them, similar to the way we do grants. We had a very interesting presentation from Rick Smith regarding a fiber pilot project that the city's getting ready to implement. It's very exciting. And then city manager Shane Hale talked to us about the special event permit for using City Hall for the event that Peyton just talked about that will be through Makeda. And that's all that we talked about at the workshop. I did want to mention, because I learned something today. I had mayor's hours today and actually had 3 people come and visit. But one of the things that I learned was that the rec center is now, there are 2 ways that you can get in. One is to swipe your card, and the other is to register your finger. And
Well, your fingerprint.
your fingerprint.
Which finger do you have to register?
Yeah, well, your choice.
Your index.
And I didn't know that. I thought that was a really, I mean, we're becoming high-tech in Cortez. So you don't have to take your card. We've been having, and I have to admit, I've been guilty of doing that on occasion too. We've had a lot of people that haven't actually scanned themselves in and have failed to stop by the desk and have somebody else do that. So this way now you have a choice. If you've left your card in your wallet at the office, you can now just go to the gym and you should have your finger with you and can get in that way. So I thought that was really neat. And that's all I have to say. So,
Hopefully, yeah.
yes, it's time to go.
It's awkward. Register
So,
or something else.
does anybody else have anything for the good of the city? You've got only 2 more times.
It's all good, let's go home.
All right. Oh, my.
So, when I said Joey, that.
Are you going to break? It's coming up.
You're open.